right, thanks very much for coming here, guys. Just before we start, a little caveat. If you're interested in CBD, THC, or hemp, I'm not going to be talking about any of those things. And there's about 15 to 20 other breakout sessions happening right now that you can go to. But seriously, what I am talking about kind of applies to any category of product. So, but with that, Martin kind of stole some of my thunder to start, but why should you care about what I have to say? I'm not a marketing professor. There's no hard and fast rules in marketing. But I have been really fortunate to be part of some great teams with some great people who've created some iconic brands over the last 15 years. So with that, my journey, as kind of Martin kind of talked about, I was the first dedicated employee hired for Smartwater. It started with the buyer from Whole Foods said to the founder at Glasso, hey, I know you're focused on Vitaminwater, but I think that Smartwater has something. You should do something with that. So I was the first dedicated employee on Smartwater, and over the course of my 4 years there, we grew $600 million in sales, which is kind of incredible to look back on that. To give you a sense of kind of the budgets and how things changed, when I started there, my first job, when I first started, the budget was $100,000, the whole marketing budget. When I left, the media budget alone was $50 million. So think about, time, resources, the teams. It was just a couple of us to start, and then we had a couple hundred people working at the company later on. Then I went with Mike Rapoli to Pirates Booty. Mike Rapoli bought the company with VMG, and over the course of 4 years, we quadrupled the size of the brand and sold it to B&G Foods. After Pirates Booty, I said, you know what, there's really not enough waters in this world, so I joined Core Water. As employee number 5, and over the course of a little bit less than 4 years, we went from 0 to 115 million in sales and exited the KDP last year. And then I'm now currently with Raw Organic, which is electrolyte infusion. And since February of the last kind of 9 months or so, we've grown about 250% over the traditional channels. So where do you start, right? When you look at that wall of water, that wall of snacks at grocery or other channels, you just see that there's more and more brands, more proliferation, and it's harder to find out, why do I choose one brand versus another? And that's not just for consumers, it's for distributors and retailers as well. Everyone's making that decision, everyone's making that choice. So yes, great packaging is a great first step. And every brand I've worked on had amazing packaging that stood out from the category to kind of grab that consumer's attention. But having a great product and having a great package isn't enough, because someone else can come out with a great package and a great product. It's building that brand and finding your lane that sets that brand apart. So, how do you find your lane? Here's just a quick snapshot of the lanes that each of these brands were in, and I'll kind of talk about how those came to life. So, Vitaminwater was your colorful friend that helps get through it all. And we'll dig into each one of these in a second. Pirates Booty was healthy, fun, and delicious, something moms and kids can finally agree on. And that second part was more important. The first ones are really just attributes. The second one about something that moms and kids can agree on was critical. And then core was really about the idea of being true to yourself or being true to your core. And we'll show how that gets dimensionalized in a second. So with Vitaminwater, your colorful friend. Yes, it started with the liquid and the packaging, the idea was bringing color to the water door. Before that, there was no color in the water door. It was strictly kind of premium waters. It was about kind of disrupting that category, creating a subset called enhanced waters, which never existed beforehand. But that idea of colorful is more than just the liquid itself, right? It's about the personality, the brand, how it speaks to you like a friend, right? And just a friend would help you solve those problems. Before I move on, kind of talk a little bit more about that, just an interesting story about the packaging. When this brand first started, and this is one of the most copied kind of package designs in the last 15 years. When it first launched, the founders were told, that's a horrible package. It looks too medicinal, it looks too clinical, no one's ever going to pick it up. And so the learning here is, and yes, they've evolved and made some small changes in the beginning, but it's basically the same thing. You guys own your brand, and it's important to take input from people, but it's your decision. You don't have to take every piece of input and go with it. If Vitaminwater did that back in the day, we would never have this brand that never would have exploded like it did, because that was a big part of that, the beginning of kind of telling the story of what that brand's about. So, one of the key things with Vitaminwater was the personality of the brand. We call it personality and purpose. Is the idea of you can have personality, but it's telling you what's going on within the product itself. So I'm going to read two of my favorite labels, just kind of bring that back to life because they've since kind of been toned down or removed from post-Coke acquisition. I'm even going to try to read black and dark purple on a dark screen, which is really interesting. All right, so this is Vitaminwater Revive. Everyone loves going out, downing cocktails and partying like a B-list celebrity. But with the glory comes the pain, body aches, cotton mouth, and a splitting headache the next morning that even the mighty Superman to his knees. With that said, we loaded this product with B vitamins and potassium to help your body recover. So now you can party like it's $19.99 and still wake up feeling like $1 million, or $750,000 if you woke up on the bathroom floor. So that kind of bringing a smile to someone's face when they're at a store, when they're learning about your product and why it's good for them, is kind of what this brand was all about. It didn't speak to you like a brand, it spoke to you like a friend. And Vitaminwater Triple X. Has anyone heard of this one? All right, so this was supposed to be a PR SKU. We never thought any retailer would put Triple X on their shelf because of the name itself, but it quickly rose to the top. All right, Triple X. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter. We only named this drink Triple X because it has the power of triple antioxidants to help keep you healthy and fight free radicals. So in case you're wondering, this does not cost $1.99 per minute or contain explicit adult content or anything considered uncensored. It has not gone wild during spring break, nor will clips of it be passed around the internet like a certain hotel heiress. It has never been live reviewed, but it's definitely natural. So just the idea of kind of bringing a smile to people's face and kind of educating them about the product is what this brand was about. And by the way, Paris Hilton read this. No, she didn't sue it. She asked us to ship tons and tons of these cases to her house because she kind of thought it was celebrating her and kind of all she was about. It's another story. So, Vitaminwater, with that, this gives us a license to bring the brand to life in different ways. So we would have fun with it, be a little racy, right? So OJ found guilty of being high in sugar, that is. This is a piece of point of sale that would have Vitaminwater Essential comparing it to OJ and saying how the sugar content's high and how this is better. In addition, next to it is our sampling vehicle. We call it GTV. Back here, you can see this, there's a big bottle on the side of the vehicle. You would spin the bottle to learn about the brand. You spin a bottle and meet your match. So there was a fun kind of dating element to it, education and fun, and everyone brought that to life and loved the engagement with this brand. We hired professional MCs to be on the microphone who would be talking and engaging the fans, engaging consumers that come up to the truck, sample the product, and try out and play the game. In addition to this, we had partners on the brand. So does anyone remember any of the partners for Vitaminwater? 50 Cent, right? He kind of made $900 million, something like that. Yeah. So, so we had people like 50, and we also had athletes. But we showed them in a unique and different way. And this is the key. For anything that you do, you should be able to cover up your brand name, and everyone should still know it's your brand they're talking about. So, in the lower right there, you see 50 Cent. So, before then, everyone had rappers doing alcohol products or energy drinks, things that were not technically healthy, right? So, we brought in the first brand to have him do something healthier with Vitaminwater Formula 50. We showed him in a robe, holding his dog, picking up his morning newspaper, in a different light than most people did. It was that kind of wink and a nod, letting you inside of what those individuals were about that made it different. We had amazing, amazing field marketing teams. They were brilliant, I think best in the business. And this lane was so well defined that it wasn't just corporate that would develop programs, it was also our field. Our field teams had their own assets, right? So either professional athletes or other celebrities in their markets, and they would come up with their own programs. And so each one of them, we just didn't do the traditional sports thing, we did something different. So for example, in the upper right, that's Brian Urlacher, who used to play for the Chicago Bears. So this program was want to go fishing with a bear. So Brian Urlacher loved fishing. So you can win a fishing trip with Brian Urlacher versus going to see him play a game. And on the left, Poppy loved backyard barbecue, so you could win a barbecue with Poppy sets. Or in the lower right was David Wright from New York. Great athlete for the New York Mets, but also one of the most eligible men in business right now. So they did a local program where it was a scavenger hunt in New York, and the winner of the scavenger hunt was on a date with David Wright. So think about any other brand that you know who could do that, right? No one else had the opportunity, the brand, the lane to do that. So that was Vitaminwater. Next was Pirate's Booty. So Pirate's Booty was very much a brand that was about, yes, healthier snacks that are fun and delicious, but something that moms and kids could agree on. So one thing that it started with was the packaging. So if anyone has kids, if you've gone shopping with them, it's a nightmare, right? They run down the aisle, they pick the worst possible thing for them, they bring it back and say, Mom, can I have this? right? And with Pirates Booty, one of the great things was we made the packaging work for both mom and kids. Kids would run down the aisle, they'd see the pirate, get engaged with that, bring it back to mom. Front and center in big bullets, we put all the badges that are now on the back of the package, typically on the front. Showing you how it's, no preservatives, it's baked not fried, gluten-free, trans fat-free, etc. And they run it back and mom said, this is something that you can have. So with Pirates Booty, it's all about dual audiences and having them agree on things. So we would do partnerships with properties that kids would feel great about. So like when the Avengers came out, we did a partnership with the Avengers, and so Pirates Booty was in the natural aisle, typically most markets, and so oftentimes it's hard to get display space. But you roll up with an Avengers program, you get display space, right? We get 50 case, 75 case displays. So that was amazing. On the front of the package, we put the Avengers as well as kind of our pirate, because our pirate was a main asset. We created this comic book where the pirate was the key superhero with the Avengers that saved the day, which is pretty amazing. And you'd get that if you buy the package and send it in. And on the other side of that, we celebrated moms as super moms. Super moms being actual superheroes on the big screen, but also as individuals, and talk about mom being a superhero for all that she does for the family, and for the fact that she's bringing a snack that actually kids want to eat and snack on, and to other moms, because Irish food was not only healthier, it didn't have all the allergens and choking hazards of choosing popcorn or other snacks. So that was something that kind of worked very well. Mom and kids were always kind of excited about the brand, even with sampling. In the store, we have foam swords, we have tattoos, all kinds of swag that kids could play with while they sampled the product, while mom was getting educated about the brand. Now, one thing that's really important is to understand your lane, right? So this was a brand that was targeted toward moms and kids. If you crossed over that lane, you could ruin the whole business, right? And booty could have a different connotation than Pirates Booty. So we were really careful about it. So this is actually something we did do, which we felt fell on the right side of the brand. We launched a chocolate booty, and for Valentine's Day, we sent it to all the editors of the magazine. So we sent a nice card that said, we wanted to make sure you got some booty this Valentine's Day. So we would never put that out in an advertisement, it was just the editors. But there were many, many things that we didn't do because, it was funny, and yes, certain consumers would agree with it and kind of find it engaging, but it would turn off moms, which would be our main part of our business. So we had a wall of these things, because as you know, people like to make jokes about booty. So one of the ads that we didn't run, which would have been great if you focused exclusively on colleges, was this. So we have to think this would play. Late night booty without regret. Right? So it would play great for colleges. But if a mom ever saw that ad, your business would be done. So know your lane and stay in it, make sure you don't cross over. Finally, water. So when you look at that wall of water, there's so many waters out there. How do you stand out? How can you be different? And when we looked at it, no one was starting to stand out at all. There was mountains and springs in pink and green and blue. And so we're like, how can we be different? How do we stand out? And it was the idea of being true to your core, being different and celebrating yourself. So with that, it started with the packaging right here. Beautifully designed by Paula Grant, the second row, from Sweet 9C. The package was to be distinct on the shelf, but at the same time to be functional. It's not just being distinct for distinct's sake. So white label, which had never been seen in the category beforehand. Usually the rule was it's got to be clear, you got to see the water, it's all about the water and the clarity. This had a white label, an iconic blue overcap, and also had functionality. It was contoured, so it felt great in your hand if you were on the go or in the gym. The blue overcap was used for sharing for friends or even for people's pets, believe it or not. And the wide mouth was great for faster hydration for supplements. So that stood out on the shelf and got everyone's attention, but it was more than that. If it was just a fancy package, then consumers would feel like a sucker for just buying a fancy package. They connected to the brand and what it stood for, which celebrated individuality. So we had a lot of influencers that loved the brand because we celebrated everyone and anyone, what they did and what was behind it. This brand actually had a lot of artist investors from the beginning, just from the community that the brand was born from. So it was Katy Perry, and Adam Levine, and Demi Lovato, and Ellie Goulding, and the list went on. And so we used some of the campaigns. It was all about showing different sides of it. So for Ellie Goulding on the bottom, yes, she was a music artist, but she was also an incredible athlete. If you followed her on social media, incredible hardcore workouts, and we celebrated that. And then she had a really distinct kind of personality she brought to bear on the stage. And then Demi Lovato was one of our earliest investors, and we did a campaign with her that really kind of brought to life the idea of balance, and the idea of showing different sides of a story or different sides of an occasion, and how you could be the person on both sides of that story, but it's all about driving home the idea of balance. So these are a couple of quick snackable content things we put out over digital.
Dating with Demi and Demi. My advice for a first date, just get to know each other. Yeah, get to know each other. Take it slow, real slow. Core, perfectly pH balanced water.
And here's another show.
Fashion with Demi and Demi. Clothes are supposed to be comfy. Fashion is about making a statement. What statement is that outfit making anyways? Right this way, your table is ready. Oh, this table is set, girl. Core, perfectly pH balanced water.
So once again, the key with any kind of partners or celebrities, it's all about, they have to deliver your brand message. What you often find with brands when they have celebrities, the celebrity takes over the campaign. At the end of the day, you can swap out the brand, you know who it is. So it's really about how they drive home your message and your brand positioning. All right, so next. Now, this is a brand that I had nothing to do with it. So Gatorade, I'm just using it as a setup for talking about more. So Gatorade, been around forever, sports fuel, focused on athletes. And so when you see their lane, it's very, very clear, right? So, you know, they're kind of associated with these key leagues, NBA, NFL, and MLB. They have some of the top athletes that are out there. They have all kinds of ads that are really intense, a bit dark sometimes. They're in you, win from within, be like Mike, and this is the kind of outcome you can see on the field, right? So when we looked at more organic electrolyte infusions, it has the word electrolytes in it. You know, one way we could have gone is to choose to go directly down the lane of Gatorade, right? Very expensive, very challenging to do that, given how much time they've been there and the big company behind it. A lot of companies have failed trying to do this. However, it is possible to dent that armor, and Body Armor is doing that right now successfully. But we chose to find our own lane. And by doing that, we looked at the category and said, okay, let's look at that electrolyte door for all the sports drinks. And what do they all have in common? Well, they all tend to be on the field. They all tend to be talking to traditional sports. They all tend to be very male-driven. And they haven't looked at fitness, how it's evolved, how it's health and wellness, mind and body, on and off the court, and kind of all day long. And they haven't looked at who is the key driver of that health and wellness trend. It's female millennials. And what are they going through and what are they thinking about? And for them, has anyone here worked with millennials? Or are you one? It's okay, it's accepted here. But the difference is, right, I'm a Gen X, and for me it was like, hey, I have this job, how do I fit into that job? I'm gonna do that job, right? For a millennial, it's like, okay, how does this job gonna work for me, right? Or, hey, this is where I get my paycheck, but here's my passion side hustle, and that's where I'm gonna really put all my energies into, right? So that was what was going on in our minds about this consumer that no one was talking to. So we created a brand that delivered against that. And we call our audience the female millennial hustler, because that's what they're looking at. They have hustle throughout the day, and they're looking to make moves and be heard. And we wanted to be a tool or accessory that helps them do that, starting with what's in the bottle, right? And creating something that hits on all the things that they're looking for, right? So we're USDA organic. Organic's a new badge of health because natural is not defined by the FDA. There's a lot of lawsuits behind it, so people want something they can believe in. So we have that stamp of approval. People want something that is more than just taste. They want something that has a functional difference, that does something for them. We have electrolytes, yes, that's what we started this conversation from, but we also have antioxidants for proactive health and B vitamins to help kind of with their energy production. And then, as we all know, sugar's the new boogeyman, right? So this is low in sugar, only 2 grams of sugar per serving, which is about 7 times lower than traditional sports drinks. So when you first start rack and stack this and then look at the packaging, which is inspired by athleisure brands, right? So that's the world that it plays in. It all starts to line up. And when you look at who our partners are, they're very different than a Gatorade, right? So on the bottom there, yes, we have people in fitness like Robin Arzon, who is an investor in the company, who is the lead instructor for Peloton and the VP of programming there. We have Lauren Abedini, also known as DJ Kittens, who's been on the road with some of the top artists out there, and who started her own nonprofit called Power, which is about teaching women how to be DJs because she believes they learn differently than men. And then Jacqueline Johnson, who's the founder of Create and Cultivate. which is to help millennials create and cultivate the job of their dreams. And then Deanna Nunez, who is the founder of Koval, which is she's an artist, a multimedia artist, who first started by putting her art out over the internet, over through Instagram, and now she reps Instagram and other big brands and PS1 and has evolved and succeeded. So we looked at these people as the hustlers, right? Very different than Gatorade, right? These are people who are making moves in their different industries. And through our campaign, we wanted to showcase how they kind of not only succeeded, but also failed to be a tool for our consumers to learn about. Our kind of partners and kind of events that we do, very different, right? It's TED conferences and kind of wellness type things and not traditional sports activities, but beta breakers, boutique fitness, create and cultivate. And here's a sample of some of the content that we put out from our advertising on Roar.
My name is Robin Arzon, also known as Robin NYC. I'm a reformed lawyer turned ultramarathoner and professional badass. I grew up in Philadelphia in a Puerto Rican and Cuban household. Growing up with parents who created themselves in the US is instrumental to my narrative. Overnight success stories are bullshit. The path to success is circuitous. It's the stumbling and getting up. It's in the rising that we discover who we really are. I think when you sweat with swagger, you approach sweat and movement unapologetically. Sweating with swagger is looking good for victory. Creating my outfit for my finish line allowed me to run marathons like it was a runway. The catalyst for me picking up a pair of running shoes was actually a traumatic experience that I had when I was still in college. I was held hostage at gunpoint, and it was from then I decided you can either become a victim to your circumstances or you can become the victor. I started to run out pain and trauma, and I regained an entire new identity and sense of self. My purpose on this planet is to dismantle fear. I want to put out into the world the story where the princess saves herself. I want to take an axe to those limiting thoughts and turn the volume up on what's empowering and turn the volume down on limiting beliefs. It's easy to witness other people's successes and see that as other. But why can't it be you to do something that makes you a little bit scared and fearful and then succeed? What I love about athletics and movement and running and cycling and picking up heavy weights is that those are reminders of tiny, tiny micro moments of victory. And I know for a fact that when you keep showing up, excellence becomes a habit. So I would say for the person who feels like they have more of a whisper than a roar, keep speaking your truth, and then it's just gonna get louder. Make moves, be heard, and roar, baby.
So it feels very different than a sports drink ad, right? So this is content that we're putting out there. As we said, we see ourselves as a tool for the female millennial hustler to kind of follow their passions, follow their dreams. And it's about, yes, what's in the bottle, but kind of sharing stories about what works, what doesn't work, what other people have been through. And it's really powerful, and people have really connected with it. And it's something that I'm very proud of, the whole team is, because I think it's very differentiated and it's providing real value. And that's what people connect with, right? So you need that brand connection. Moving on, so this is another concept, just everything communicates. And this is obvious from your packaging, your point of sale, what's in store, your wearables, how you kind of communicate some new products we have. We have a new powder product, and there's a bottle there with all the stickers that go on about our mantras. But things just like, hey, we all do tchotchkes, right, Brandon? So, and so we gave out a phone charger. Anyone can give out a phone charger, right? Big deal. But it's how do you make it your own, right? So on the front of it, it says power your roar. On the other side, it says for when you kind of out-hustle your phone battery, right? So all of a sudden, this is a phone charger that has utility to that person, that's great, but as a reminder of the brand and what it's all about. Everything communicates. And then also your messaging on your website and your package, et cetera. So everyone can just say, we could just say, okay, this is low in sugar, sugar's bad, and we have functional benefits in here as well, right? So, but we really wanted to drive home what this brand is all about. So this is on our website, just talking about our sugar content. So it goes, "Hey, sweetie." Personally, we're not fans of that expression. It's outdated, a bit basic, and makes our teeth hurt. We had the same POV when we developed our drinks. We don't believe that drinks need to taste like candy to be tasty or use a ton of sugar to overcompensate for a lack of flavor. At Roar, we use only 2 grams of sugar, 2 grams of organic cane sugar plus other sweeteners for a drink that is yummy and not too sweet. And that's the truth. Nothing sugar-coated here. So once again, always driving home that message on, yes, we have low sugar, but wrapping it in what the brand is all about. All right, so one of the questions that I was asked to talk about is, what are the signposts that the brands are connecting and that's performing well? First 2 is, well, of course, sales, right? Sales help. Sales is a good sign. But one thing that's really incredible is incrementality, right? So if you're selling extremely well, and you can look at your data at a retailer and see that, you know what, not only are you selling well, but your sales are incremental to the category. So you're not just switching out your bottle of Roar for something else per se, but you're bringing more value to that category. That's incredible. It shows that your positioning really is unique and differentiated and kind of stands your brand apart. For example, at Roar, 71% of our sales at grocery are incremental, showing that this is a really unique lane that we're down. Next is velocity, right? We're all in startup phases, we're all growing, we're all adding new stores. So velocity, how fast you turn the shelves, is really, really important. The key is, as you expand your distribution, are you also increasing your velocity? Because as you increase distribution, there's downward pressure on your velocity because there's more stores and places you can buy the product. So if you can deliver on both those things, that's a great sign. Next is kind of the buzz around the brand, right? So on the social side, more and more, you have to put some money behind the brand in order to reach your consumer base on social. For a while, you can see your organic reach. It's kind of challenging to do this now, given Cambridge Analytics because of all the privacy issues, right? But before that, you can see, how many people are talking about you. What's your true buzz online? And for us at Core, before this kind of metric changed, we saw that on a weekly basis, we had 6 million people talking about the brand. That was about 3 to 4 times what Smartwater and Fiji had happening on their brands. So this is kind of where you can outpunch your weight class and kind of see how, the real kind of connection with the brand. And then of course, just the buzz value of influencers, inbounds from influencers are a great sign, right? So when people kind of get it and really feel like you're doing something different and it's a brand that they connect with, because people want to be part of something, right? So that's when they reach out and say, hey, how can I be a part of this? I'd love to represent your brand, or can I get some product, or I have these events coming up, I want you to be a part of it. And then of course, pop culture integrations and kind of press, be it more on the lifestyle side or on the business side as well. That's a picture there with Gatorade, Roar on the right, and Body Armor on the left, just showing that we're making impact on Gatorade, which I loved seeing. All right, so in the words of T. Swizzle, people are going to judge you anyway, so you might as well do what you want. This is your brand, guys, so you have to do what makes sense to you. Take your input, but at the end of the day, everyone's going to have an opinion, right? So it's yours that matter the most because you're the most passionate. It may take a while for things to connect, so don't give up easily. Work through things and keep pushing forward. The other thing is owning your brand, right? I have a big belief in not outsourcing strategy. So what I mean by that is, your presentations, your decks, how you talk about the brand, you guys created this brand, right? So you guys know it best, so you should be putting those words to paper and don't look for an agency to kind of help shape that. You're the guys who know it best. Now, it's okay to find the right partners to take it to the next step. So for example, that ad campaign that you just saw, yes, we produced that in-house, but it doesn't mean like the Demi campaign we didn't produce in-house. It was way above our level. We didn't have those people in-house, but we knew exactly what we wanted to do with the brand and what it stood for. So when we briefed them and had a tight brief about what the brand's about, that's going to spur those right ideas. If you have a very broad-based brief, or if you just talk about your brand as a product because you really don't know what it's about, you're going to have some issues. Next, people want to be a part of something. You heard it earlier on the main stage. People want more than a great product, and they want more than a good package. They want to be part of something, a brand that means something, that represents something. And when the first time people hear about a brand, what do? They go to your Instagram, right? And they're not going to your Instagram because they're trying to learn about the ingredients or anything else. They're looking at it to say, is this something I want to be a part of? Is this a lifestyle that represents me? Is this something that I believe in? So that's critical to build that. And that's not built overnight. And that's a key defense for you guys as a brand, because as you keep growing, the big boys are going to say, hey, Vitaminwater, hey, we got a great product development team. We can make, it's vitamins and water and some flavor. We can do that, right? So during Vitaminwater's heyday, Coke came out with at least 3 different versions of Dasani in order to try to compete with Vitaminwater. Dasani Neutral Water, Dasani Flavors, Dasani Plus, and I think there was a couple others as well. And a lot of other brands did it also. And you can dispute if they're good products or not, but the difference is that's it. They were products. They weren't brands. There was no relationship. I would walk down the street with a Vitaminwater shirt up. People would literally run up to me and tell me how much they love the brand and their favorite label was this. That doesn't happen with a product. It happens with a brand. That's built over time. So that's something you have an advantage over the larger companies. So I'm a big MC Hammer fan, so I love that gift. All right, people. As a startup, people are the most important thing behind your brand. And it's really critical to get the right people on board. And so when you think about your hiring practices, this is a big belief for me, hire hustle over Harvard, right? And what I mean by that is hire attitude and teach skills. You can teach someone to do a job. You can't teach someone to be passionate about something. You can't teach someone to want to do more. You can't teach someone to kind of love something that they bring it everywhere they go. That's something that they have or they don't. So find that person who's so passionate about their brand, they come to the meeting, they have the brand on the table. How many people have interviewed people who've never tasted your product? It's like, just stop, just walk out the door. Don't waste my time. Even worse, they bring a different product, like a competitive product. Oh my God, kick them right out. So, but this is the thing, that attitude, that passion is incredible, and you can feel it, right? And in a small company, right, one wrong person can ruin the whole vibe of the company, the whole culture. So getting that person who's so passionate, get them on board. You can teach them the skills. The other thing, hire brand messiahs over brand managers. Nothing against brand managers, but what I mean by this is hire that person who lives and breathes your brand, who's in the category, who feels it, who's living it. So they can make decisions and they'll know things that feel right based on their gut. They can always check it with data later. You hire that brand manager from that big company who, he's been there, he's done it, he's produced big campaigns, he's managed agencies, all this great stuff. But if they're not there, they're not gonna know what feels right for the brand. As a small company, you move quickly. You gotta know what's coming next. And that brand messiah is gonna be in that world. And I guarantee who here feels like I have too many people working for them? Oh, my team's too big. Nobody, right? So you want the person who, as you grow, is gonna be super passionate, right? The person from the last slide, and who's living the brand so that, they're gonna be in that world, and when they need to do something, hey, I have this great idea for PR, or there's this great event that's happening that just is starting to pop up, or but this, but that, that's the stuff that you'll see, and it's critical. And what I found is, this was kind of comical, at Vitaminwater, we interviewed some people for a job, and someone started, they didn't last very long. One of their first questions was, oh, I have to book a trip, where's the travel department? It's not that mentality. All right, next, you've all heard of the 5-second rule, right? I have a different one for myself and for hiring, which is the 5-minute rule. And this kind of plays back those last 2 slides. And it's really about, for me, when I think about an opportunity, if I can't sit down and write a skeleton for a brand plan in 5 minutes, it's not the right company for me. I'm not close enough about it. I'm not passionate enough about it. I don't know the things where I should go. It's just not right. It's the same thing with when I hire someone. So in an interview, I'll ask someone, all right, so you're hired tomorrow, what do you do? Well, when you speak to someone, it's like, well, I don't really know the brand. I don't work here. I don't. So that's not the person you want. You want someone who kind of, they live and breathe the brand. So it's like, they're not gonna know everything, of course, like all the, what issue you're having with that retailer or that retailer, but they can kind of lay out a plan saying, okay, so, well, for certain kind of events, I'd want to do this. Certain partners make sense to do that. What if we looked at a key, influencer account like this? They should be able to rattle that off in 5 minutes. If they can't, they're not the person that kind of really knows the brand or kind of the category that it's in. All right, so let me take a quick sip here. So we all work for small entrepreneurial brands. Oh, I got a couple minutes. I'll be quick. There's a lot of things that people think the big brands have advantages over you for. But with those also come a lot of challenges, which you can then work against on the other side. Oh, they have this big team. They have so many people working on it. I have like 5 people and 1 person in Long Island. How do I do this? Because of that, big companies, red tape, a lot of process. You can be faster. You can iterate. You can make mistakes and fail forward and learn. Big budgets. Oh my God, they're going to launch this new product. It's got $40 million behind it. How am I going to compete with that? What happens is they're like, well, that's a lot of money we're going to put behind this brand, so we better do it the right way. Let's go through the process and speak to this agency and have the person weigh in, and don't forget to run it through legal. And it's just how they do it. Your advantage is to be disruptive. That's why we're all here. We think products can be improved. We think we can connect with consumers in better ways. We think everything can be evolved and made better and different. And so that's your advantage. Perceived advantage, they can go national overnight. They have this whole network and the whole teams, and they're connected. They got the national account teams, and what do I do? Well, at the same time, they launch things. They got big budgets, but at the same time, they have limited patience. If it doesn't succeed in 3 months, that slot in the truck, Diet Caffeine, Diet Coke, it sells a lot, and that brand's not turning fast enough. We should kind of do that. So be authentic, build your brand, that's your defense. Category leader, they often kind of come out with the same, hand down the plan to the retailers. Oftentimes retailers don't like that, surprise, surprise. They're looking for underdogs, they're looking for collaboration, they're looking for how do I make this different. Quick story, at Pirates Booty, there was a big salty snack company, I won't name the name, but it rhymed with Schmiedel-A, and they have a big Super Bowl program, and basically they would just hand it down to retailers. And this one retailer in particular was pretty annoyed by it because it was just like, hey, here's the plan, this is what we're doing. And there's kind of a lot of power in that kind of. And so basically we came up with a great program, we collaborated them, we asked them what they wanted, and we did it. And they just loved saying to Frito-Lay, hey, you know what, we're gonna go with Pirates Booty for this plan this year. They had a great idea and we're just gonna run with it. They're looking for people who kind of wanna work with them. All right, last slide, mistakes and kind of wrap up here. Number 1, always say yes. Remember, strategy is about making choices. Don't always say yes to a retailer because, hey, we should expand to all these different places. Don't say yes to a distributor because they want to carry your brand. Don't say yes to hiring someone because they want to work for your company. You need to make the choice. Is this the right decision for your company at this time? 2, they have the experience, but I don't know if they're, I don't know much about the personality. A bad hire can ruin your culture and your brand. Think about it. If you don't know why your brand exists, don't ask someone else. You got a bigger issue. So you should be passionate and know what your brand's about and kind of why it exists. You can always fine tune that, but don't look for someone else to come up with a strategy. Do not compete with the big companies on their terms. They have different resources, different assets, different objectives, and different timelines. Think about what you need to do and kind of make it work for you. And oftentimes, that's your advantage. Big companies don't have the patience to really grow authentic brands, and that's why they tend to acquire them, because if they launch a new brand overnight, they don't have time to grow it. It's not a brand, it's a product. And oftentimes they don't have the patience for it to work. And finally, if you don't enjoy the hustle, don't work at a startup. So thank you, I think I'm down, I'm out of time. 240.
Awesome, great. Thank you so much, Eric. Let's have another round of applause. That was really great.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit subscribe and ring that bell.